You had a bit of time off from wrestling and popped back up about a year or so ago, but
Yeah.
I get the word that you're working MLW, your first time there in quite a while. And also, they were very excited to tell me you're helping out backstage too, and people are really liking you there. What led you back to wrestling and MLW?
Well, I took some time off during the pandemic. I was supposed to work the Ring of Honor show in Vegas,
Okay. Yeah.
and that got canceled on or around Valentine's Day. I could be off a month. It could be March 14th, but I want to say it was around
It was March.
February,
Yeah.
March. Somewhere. Okay, it was March
It
14th.
was it was March because
So,
I remember the end of February, start of March, I was doing media with some people, and we were all like, "Are these shows even going to happen?" Type thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was geared up to go do that. And that got canceled. So then the whole pandemic thing happened, and I was living at the time very close. I was in Sherman Oaks at the time, but I was really close to all this looting and all. It was just chaos, right? So my mind was everywhere but pro wrestling. Then I moved to the hood because I wanted to get more street, and I, started working a shoot job, and it was fun for a while, but then I started to see, I think AEW came up around the time, and I have a lot of friends there. So
Mhm.
that's, you're always going to be curious. So I was watching it, and it's like, some of this is really bad. Um, and then I was watching some other stuff just out of curiosity, but still didn't have too much of an interest. And I was still working out and training. And I was actually training at a ring in Burbank, working out with some guys. And I was kind of loosely training my roommate at the time, who's a comedian. And LA Knight would come in, Sean Ricker, he'd come in and work out with us, from time to time, which was great. Because he and I are old pals. But it was just cool. It was a little just like a jam session for guys who wanted to just kind of keep the joints well oiled.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I think I'd really like to just kind of keep coaching and stuff, but just didn't really have much interest performing anymore. Not because I didn't want to perform, but because my confidence had kind of sunk so low, and I felt, God, like all these guys are just doing so many explosive things. Like I'm gonna be the fat guy going in there and just kind of like being like, "Hold on, ref, he pulled my trunks, ref. Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Like I was like, "Is that me? Is that's where I'm at now?" Like, fuck, this is
You're
terrible.
stomping on the mat to get the crowd to clap for you.
Oh yeah, they're just kind of sitting there. They're like, "Do a flip, do a destroyer," and so
Uh,
I didn't want to deal with any of that, and I was convinced that that's where I was at in my life and in my career. And it got to the point where I actually reached out to Daniels and was like, "Hey, um, I've seen the show. I would love to help any way I can." Da, da, da. And I kind of got like a revolving door answer. It was like, "Oh well, yeah, no, see you later." Uh, and that was fine. I mean, I get it. I guess they have all the help they need.
they do not.
We won't even touch on that. But but back to MLW. I don't. I still believe in kayfabe.
Mhm.
So
It's the name of
much of
your
that.
wrestling school.
It's the name of my wrestling academy. That's right, Kayfabe Academy, and we're juiced up to get re-energized here in the next couple of weeks, and there'll be more announcements coming on that later. But um, a, a significant figure in MLW had been reaching out to me over the past few years, and this was during the pandemic. And then again, I left the hood and I moved to New Mexico. Reached out to me when I was in New Mexico, but but to be honest, my confidence just wasn't there. And I just thought, Karrion Kross, he's another really good friend of mine. He was at MLW at the time. And I thought, oh, well, if I could come in and do something with him, but I didn't want to put any kind of stain on him too, because he was doing so great. And I thought, oh, well, maybe there's something with this kind of underground kind of an iteration that they're doing with, the members that were at Lucha. Maybe there's something there that I could kind of weasel my way in and kind of, fool people into thinking I can still do this stuff. But it was mostly just all shit that was in my head. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the poison that when you're a performer, it can seep into your head, and it can be very difficult to get that out. So long-winded answer wrapping up, fast forward to being back in Southern California, and it was actually my wrestling manager who receives my bookings and all that stuff, because it's sometimes difficult for me to keep up with a lot of it. Then it's like, I emailed you 3 years ago and you never responded. It's like, oh, the spam folder. It just some of that stuff just does my head in. So he helps me with that, and he's also the co-owner with me at my wrestling academy. And so he's really the one who stoked the fire, because I was working these kind of shit jobs, and I wasn't booking enough acting to live off of, because people are like, why do you live in California? Like, I'll give you one guess. You know what I mean? It's not for the palm trees or the weather. It's for the vast amount of opportunities that come across my way in the work that I love doing. So, when I lived in New Mexico or in Texas, I would audition 5 times a month, maybe. Whereas when I'm in California, it's like 5 times a week, sometimes multiple times a day. So that keeps me on my toes, and it keeps my acting instrument well oiled and fresh. And it's like I'm going to the gym every day as an actor. So that's why I live out here. But then he kind of just kept pushing me, and I just finally was like, okay, this seems like a situation that's safe enough for my insecure, crippled self-perception to do. And my dear friend Ricardo, Ricardo Rodriguez,
love him too. Another great fella.
He has got this program out in Pennsylvania, out in Lancaster, 3 Legacies, which I don't want to speak for him, but that's a fascinating story there, and just how that company has come about and how it's grown. So I went there in February of 22, I think, or 23. And I was in a tag match. And I was like, I'm going to be in the ring with you, right, brother? Like, none of these young whippersnappers are going to expose me. He's like, yeah, don't worry, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun, man. But we're always going to be our worst critic. And I'm more aged, I'm a bit more seasoned now. I'm wiser. I'm not going to say I'm older. I'd like to think I'm wiser. But yeah, we get critical, and our bodies grow differently, and we look at ourselves differently, and this and that. And so I was like, Jesus Christ, I look like a burnt jelly bean. I need to figure some stuff out. And I knew that I wanted to keep pushing forward to wrestling, because I absolutely love it. I'm obsessed with it. I always have been. I always will be. I have this saying where it's like, you can take the wrestler out of the ring, but you can never take the ring out of the wrestler. You just can't. So, we're constantly looking for reasons to believe what we're seeing is real, because we're all marks, man, of varying degrees. We're all marks. You know, we want to believe what we're seeing. So it was really just weighing that down, and it was like, I love this, and this is so fun for me.